Okay, so continue tayo ng discussion natin about alcohols today. Although may kasama yung PowerPoint na other topics, no? Ethers and thiols, hindi na natin sila i-cover. So, this will be our last topic discussion for the lecture. After this, exam na. So, ang examination for the medical technology students, mag-open yan starting December 10 na. So, yan. So, that's open for a week. So, December 10 to December 16. And then, yan, magko-compute na kami ng grades nyo. Okay? Yung quiz nyo, no, take nyo na lang yan. Mag-open pa ako ng quiz for alcohols this week. No? So, siguro mamaya makapag-post na ako ng quiz for this. No? Okay? So, yun lang. Good luck. No? And kita-kita na lang uli next sem after this. No? Kung ako pa rin yung teacher nyo. Okay? Anyway, so let's proceed now with alcohols. No? So, yung alcohols, gamit na gamit natin yan ngayon. For example, yung ating mga hand sanitizers, no? Mga panglinis ng surfaces, no? May mga alcohols doon. And hindi lang naman siya limited to sanitizers na. Even yung mga beverages na iniinom natin, may alcohol din yun, no? Okay. So, pag sinabi bang alcohol, ano ba meron? No? So, when we say alcohol in organic chemistry, we are pertaining to molecules that contain the hydroxyl functional group. Ibig sabihin, may OH doon. No? So, if you have an OH attached to your carbon groups, no? So, you have an alcohol. No? Okay? And ano lang to, ang nomenclature dito ay same lang with alkanes now, with just minor modifications. Okay, so ganun. Some examples of alcohol would include methanol. What is methanol? That is the simplest alcohol. That is wood alcohol, no? Kasi yan ay nakukuha from woods, no? Sometimes, na doon nakukuha yan. Saan pa kilala yung methanol? So, methanol was notorious before, no? Around last year ata yun. Wherein marami namatay due to methanol poisoning, no? Methanol is an alcohol, no? Pero it is very deadly, no? Okay, so very deadly yan. Kasi pag napatak yan sa eyes nyo, kunwari natalsikan ka lang ng onte, pwede ka mabulag, no? So, ganun. Ganun siya katindi yung effect niya. Okay? And kapag nainom mo naman yun, it can produce formic acid. Formic acid ba? Yeah. So, it can produce formaldehyde in your body, then formic acid sa body nyo. Kapag na-oxidize yung alcohol into an aldehyde or carboxylic acid, ano yun? Formic acid or formaldehyde yung mapoproduce. Ano yung formaldehyde? Yun yung pang-embalsa mo. Okay? Yun yung pang-embalming ng patay na tao. So, imagine nyo, by drinking methanol, you're introducing embalming substances in your body. So, technically, mamamatay ka talaga, no? Masisira yung function ng cells nyo dun. Okay? So, yan. But the better version of, alcohol na alkane chain lang is the ethanol, no? So, yung ethanol naman, that's a 2-carbon alcohol, no? Yun yung ginagamit for wines, no? Yung mga alcohols, vodka, beer, spirits, no? So, kailangan nila ng ethanol. Ang question dati is, bakit ba nagkakaroon ng methanol when we are fermenting wines, no? Bakit kaya daw nagkakaroon ng methanol? Kasi nga, pwede mali yung process, no? Mali yung production ng alcohol. So, pwedeng mali yung temperature, mali yung amounts ng substances, kinulang ka ng ng catalyst, no? Okay? So, maraming factors na nagpe-play, no? Kaya, ang production ng methanol ay medyo dumami before kasi nga ang daming mga local na breweries, no? So, yun yung mga medyo delikado. Okay? Sa industrial scale naman, naiiwasan naman yung methanol by distilling it, no? So, methanol will evaporate easily compared to ethanol. So, ibig sabihin, painitan mo lang yung alcohol mo, pwede na umalis yung methanol doon. Okay? So, ethanol na yan. Okay. So, yun lang. Marami pang versions ng alcohol, no? So, methanol, ethanol, then isopropyl alcohol. Yun yung mga nasa alcohol bottles natin ngayon, no? So, ang isopropyl alcohol ay ginagamit siyang disinfectant, no? At hindi siya pwede inumin. Hindi siya nakakalasing. No? So, yun. Ngayon, punta naman tayo sa nomenclature part, no? So, ang i-discuss lang natin sa lecture ay yung nomenclature and the physical properties of alcohol, no? Okay? Kasi sa laboratory, lang namatay. Kaya ganun. Ayaw na ng Microsoft Teams mag-aaral. Anyway, wait lang. Share ko uli yung screen. Na ba yung screen? Naka-share na yung screen, no? Wait lang. So, yan. So, continue tayo. Ba't kaya biglang nagsasara? Minumulto. Anyway. Okay. So, anyway, yan. Ang alam natin about alcohols, may OH siya, no? And of course, may proper naming para dito, no? Okay? So, when giving names to your alcohols, no? Similar lang siya with alkanes, no? Alkanes, alkenes, alkynes, no? Same lang sila ng concept, no? Although medyo may modification tayong gagawin dito. Okay? So, whenever we are naming alkanes, what we do first is we check kung sino yung longest chain, di ba? Hindi naman nagbabago yun eh. Hanapin mo yung longest chain parate. But this time, yung longest chain nyo must include the OH, no? It must include the OH as a substituent, no? Kailangan, pag naghanap ka ng long chain, may OH, okay? And then, when you are giving locants to your carbons, no? Locant meaning yung number sa carbon, you must assign the lowest number to the carbon na may OH, no? So, lowest number parate for the carbon that contains the OH substituent. Okay? So, ganun pa rin naman. Parang lang siyang alkene, no? Diba sa pag-alkene naman, lowest number for the double bond, no? So this time, lowest number for the OH, okay? Then, ang gagawin nyo, so bibilangin nyo na yung carbon chain, kunwari 5 carbon yan. So yan ay pentane, di ba? But because it contains an OH substituent, may OH substituent yan, so instead of naming it pentane, yung E, buburahin mo yon. Yung E sa dulo, papalitan mo siya ng ol. So instead of pentane, you will call it pentanol. So that means your 5 carbon chain has an OH substituent. Okay, so alcohol na siya. Tapos ano pa? Depending on the position of your OH, no, kailangan sabihin mo kung nasa yung OH, no. Kunwari, nasa first carbon ng pentanol yung OH, so you will call it 1 pentanol. Kunwari, nasa second carbon, edi 2 pentanol. Kapag nasa third carbon, 3-pentanol, and so on. Okay? So, ganun. So, ang mangyayari, yung parent chain natin, ayun. Feeling ko yung Microsoft na mismo yung may problema today. Kasi nakalagay may glitch sila. So, I don't know if na-experience nyo rin, pero mukhang yung Microsoft na yung may problema ngayon. Katulad na nangyari dati. Okay? So, anyway, balik tayo, no? Sana hindi na siya mag-crash ulit. Okay. So, sabi natin, yung E sa dulo ng parent chain mo, papalitan mo siya ng all. Okay? Then, you have to include kung ano yung locant ng OH, no? Okay? Then, kapag may substituent yan, the same pa rin yung naming nun. Bahala ka na mag-name ng substituent. So, alam nyo naman kung paano magpangalan na ng substituent. Ang modification lang na talaga natin ay yung sa parent chain. Okay? So, for example, meron tayong mga molecules dito. So, we have ethanol. For this case, ito yung nasa alak. Okay? So, ethanol yan. Bakit? Kasi we have 2 carbons. No? Kapag 2 carbons, ang ethane yan, di ba? Kapag 2 carbons, ethane. Pero, because we have an OH here, OH substituent here, ano yan? Yung E sa dulo ng ethane, papalitan mo ng all. So, ethanol. Okay? Bakit kaya walang locant yung OH dito? Bakit wala siyang number? Kasi ganito. Kung andito yung OH sa right side, ano yung locant niyan? 1, 2. Okay? So, 1 yung locant ng OH kapag siya ay nasa right side. Try mo nasa left side. Try natin sa left side. Ano locant niyan? 1, 2. So, still 1. No? So, kapag 2 carbon chain yung iyong alcohol or 1 carbon lang yung iyong alcohol, ito naman na-minimize naman yung screen. Kapag 2 carbon or 1 carbon chain lang yung iyong alcohol, hindi mo na kailangan mag-assign ng locants. Okay? Kasi either way, carbon number 1 pa rin yung kanyang locant, no? Yung locant ng OH. Kailan ka po mag-a-assign ng numbers? Kailan ka pwede na mag-assign ng locants? Kapag ang iyong carbon chain ay 3 pataas, no? So 3 pataas, may locant ka na. For example, we have here the 1 propanol and the 2 propanol, no? So, paano to naging propanol? Paano siya naging 1 propanol? So, this is your carbon chain. Okay? So, 1, 2, 3. So, yun yung carbon chain natin. On the first carbon, andun yung OH. So, you call it 1 propanol. Okay? Pag ang OH mo naman, nilagay mo dito sa second carbon, so 1, 2, 3, you call it 2-propanol. So, mapapansin natin, for alcohols, meron tayong isomerisms. Meron tayong constitutional isomers din. No? Kapag yun ay 3 carbons pataas na. So, you can change the position of your OHs, and as a result, may pagbabago sa naming niya. So, meron kang isomers. Okay? So, ganun lang. Okay. 2-propanol is also called isopropyl alcohol. Kung nare-recognize ninyo yung mga common name ng substituent, ito yung letter V, di ba? Pag may letter V, yan ay isopropyl. Okay? So, yun. So, dito medyo obvious pa yung isopropyl. So, yun. Ito naman, for example, marami pa tayong example later. No? So, we have here 1-butanol. So, 4 carbon yan. So, you have to include the locant of your OH. No? Again, pag 3 pataas yung carbons, dun ka mag-a-assign ng locants. So, mag-count ka ng carbon. So, you start kung nasa banda yung OH. No? So, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? On the first carbon, andun yung alcohol or yung OH substituent. So, you call it 1-butanol. Pag yung OH nilipat mo sa second carbon, you have what's called the sec-butyl alcohol. Okay? So, di ba last time sabi ko kapag sec-butyl, nakaklo. This time hindi siya ganun ka-obvious na. No? Okay. Kaya hindi na tayo magko-common name dito. Just the IUPAC name, yung may numbers. Okay? So, yan. So, we call that 2-butanol if the OH is attached to your second carbon. Okay? And this one, ito naman, tawag dyan ay isobutyl alcohol. Okay? However, the common name is 2-methyl-1-propanol. So, hanapin natin yung parent chain. Okay? So, the parent chain that includes the OH is this one. Okay? So, that's the parent chain that includes the OH substituent. So, yan yung aking parent name. No? So, ilang carbons meron dyan? 1, 2, 3. On the first carbon, andun yung OH. So, you call it 1-propanol. Okay? However, on the second carbon, you have a methyl substituent. So, if you have a methyl substituent, ilagay mo yon 2-methyl-1-propanol. No? 2-methyl-1-propanol is also called isobutyl alcohol. Pero again, hindi na tayo magko-common name. No? Ito naman. We have here 2-methyl-2-propanol or tert-butyl alcohol. Paano yan naging 2-methyl-2-propanol? Okay. Medyo hindi lang obvious, pero ito yung parent chain niya. Okay. So, for example, ito. Yan yung parent chain. Okay. So, bilangin natin yung carbons sa parent chain. 1, 2, 3. Nakabend lang siya. Okay. On the second carbon, andun yung OH. So, that's 2-propanol. Bakit prop? Kasi tatlo yung carbons. Okay? So, 2-propanol itong chain na to. Ngayon, also on the second carbon, you have a methyl substituent. So, you have to include that. So, that's 2-methyl-2-propanol. Okay? Pag cyclic naman ang inyong alcohol, hindi na po necessary lagyan ng locant. Okay? Kapag may cyclic ka, hindi mo na kailangan mag-assign ng locant sa OH mo. Bakit? Kasi po, lahat ng numbering sa kanya mag-start. Siya po yung parating number 1. Regardless kung may iba pang substituent dyan, ang OH ang number 1 parate. So, you do not have to include the, yung kanyang locant. No? Hindi nyo na kailangan sabihin na 1-cyclohexanol. Kahit hindi na. Okay? Kasi understood, kapag cyclic yan na alcohol, ang OH ang number 1. Okay? So, yung ibang substituent, kayo na bahala magpangalan nun. Okay? So, yun yung may mga number. Pero yung OH, wala na for a cyclic alcohol. So, ganun lang. So, para rin siyang alkanes talaga. May nabago lang onte. So, let's have some few examples here. Bukod pa sa maraming sasagutan tayo mamaya. Okay? So, let's try to name this molecule, letter A. Ano pangalan niya? Okay. So, before we arrive with the name, we should look for the parent chain first. No? Hanapin ang longest chain na may OH. Ito yon. So, yan yon yung longest chain na may OH as a substituent. Okay? So, ilang carbon yan? Saan na ako maglalagay ng numbers? Malapit sa OH, no? Not necessarily yung OH yung 1, no? Basta malapit dun yung 1. Okay? Huwag dito sa dulo. Siyempre, layo-layo eh. Dito ka mag-start sa right side. Okay? So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So, that is a 5-carbon chain. Tapos, yung OH nasa second carbon. Ano pangalan yan? So, that's 2-pentanol. Pentanol. Okay? So, ang name niya ay 2-pentanol. On the second carbon ng pentanol, andun yung OH na. The second carbon of pentane pala, no? Andun yung OH. So, 2-pentanol. Tapos na ba? Not yet, no? Kasi meron pa tayong isa pang substituent which is the methyl group, no? Asan yung methyl? Nasa 4th carbon. So, all substituents must be named first, no? So, kailangan ilagay muna natin sa harap yung mga pangalan ng substituent. Okay? So, that will be 4-methyl 2-pentanol. So, yan yung pangalan ng molecule natin. 4-methyl 2-pentanol. Again, still the same as alkanes with just few changes lang. Okay? Ayun lang. Let's try letter C. What is the parent chain that includes the OH substituent? Okay? Basically, yung entire molecule na. Okay? So, the entire molecule itself is the parent chain. Okay? So, wala na tayong ibang gagawin. Ano na lang kailangan gawin? Mag-assign ng locant for your OH. So, you give the carbon nearest to your OH the number or the locant 1. Okay? So, sa kanya banda yung 1. 1, 2, 3. Okay? So, ganun. Kung nasan banda yung OH, dun yung 1. Okay? So, we have a 7-carbon chain here. So, yan ay heptane. However, on the second carbon, you have an OH substituent. So, that makes it 2-heptanol. Okay? So, yung heptane, yung E, papalitan mo ng all. So, heptanol. Then you have to include nasan yung OH. Nasa second carbon po. So, 2-heptanol. Letter B. Ano yung nakikita nyo? Meron tayong solid wedge and dashed wedge. Ano uli meaning ng mga solid and wedge? Solid and dashed wedges. So, kapag sinabi solid, ito yon yung thick line na yun. So, this tells you that that bond, no, is pointing towards you, no? So, kunwari, yung laptop nyo or iPad nyo or cellphone nyo, yung OH na yan, nakatutok yan sa inyo. So, nakaharap yan sa face ninyo. Okay? Kapag yan naman ay dash, no, itong nasa baba, itong methyl, that means yung CH3 na yan, yung methyl group that is pointing away from you. Kumbaga, kung nakatingin ka sa screen mo, nasa likod yan. No? Nasa bandang camera yan. Okay? So, yun yung idea. Kapag solid wedge, yung thick na line that's pointing towards you. Kapag dash, that is pointing away from you. Okay? So, depending on the combination, we can have isomerisms with wedges. No? Pwede tayong magkaroon ng cis isomer. Okay? So, cis, kapag pareha silang ganito, pag pareha silang solid, or pareha silang dashed. Okay? Pag pareha silang solid, pareha silang dashed, cis isomer yon. So, that means, cis, they are pointing towards one direction at the same time. No? So, cis. Kapag yan naman ay combination ng dalawa, may isang solid, may isang dash, and then, so may solid and may dash, we call it trans isomer. So, trans, that means opposite yung direction. Okay? Mapapansin nyo, transit. No? Ano meron sa transit? kunwari LRT, yung T doon ay transit. So, meaning nun, may dalawang direction. May pa northbound, may pa southbound, westbound, eastbound, pa Divisoria, pa Santa Lucia, na hindi pa rin bukas until now. No? So, ganun. So, yun lang yung idea. Pag they are pointing at the same time towards you or away from you, cis isomer yon. Pareha silang solid or pareha silang dashed. Pero, kapag yung isa naka-point sa'yo, yung isa naka-point away sa'yo, that is a trans isomer. Okay? So, we have to include that sa naming. Pero, mamaya na. Mamaya na natin na-include yan, ha? Pangalanan muna natin to in general, no? Itong molecule na to. So, sabi ko, kapag may OH yan, yung OH ay number 1 sa iyong cyclic alcohol. Okay, so ito yung carbon 1. So, ito yung carbon 2. Okay? So, do I have to include 1 doon sa cyclohexanol? Hindi na. So, sabihin mo na lang cyclohexanol. Kahit hindi mo na ilagay yung 1 kasi understood na 1 talaga yan kapag cyclohexanol. Okay? Tapos ngayon, may isa pa tayong substituent. Sa second carbon, andon yung methyl. Okay? So, pangalanan natin din yun, 2-methyl cyclohexanol. Ayun, saan papasok yung solid and dashed wedges? No? Sa harap. No? Susulat mo sa harap kung anong type ng isomerism yan. Okay? Yan ay trans. No? So, sulat mo sa harap, trans 2-methyl cyclohexanol. Ganun lang. Paano po kapag parehas yan cis? No? Pag parehas yung nakapoint sa'yo, this is 2-methyl cyclohexanol. Paano po pag sila ay pointing away from me? Edi yan ay cis pa rin. No? Cis 2-methyl cyclohexanol. Pero this time, in our case, yan ay trans. No? So, one is pointing towards us, the other is pointing away from us. So, ganun. Lahat ng isomerism, yung cis and trans, nasa harap. No? Tapos yun, nasa kasunod nun, yung usual naming process. Then, next one, we have this one, letter D. Okay. Asan kaya yung carbon chain dyan? Longest carbon chain that includes the OH. Obviously, ito yon. Okay, so that is the longest carbon chain that includes the hydroxyl functional group. Ngayon, saan tayo maglalagay ng number 1? Sa malapit sa OH. So ito, 1, 2, 3. So, our chain is a 3-carbon chain. So, we have to assign the position of your OH. Na? So, mag-a-assign tayo ng position niya. So, ano yan? 1 propanol. That is 1 propanol. Pero hindi pa dyan natatapos lahat kasi may dalawa tayong methyl substituent. Asan yung dalawang methyl substituent? On the second carbon sila lahat. So, paano pangalanan yon? 2,2-dimethyl. Okay? Parang ano lang, hydrocarbons lang din. So, 2,2-dimethyl, 1 propanol. Ayun na yan. Okay? So, ganun lang yung naming. No? Mukhang madali lang. Madali lang talaga. As in. So, ito yung mga kasagutan. So, tama naman tayo. 4-methyl 2-heptanol, 2-heptanol, trans 2-methyl cyclohexanol, 2,2-dimethyl 1-propanol. Okay, so tama naman yung mga pinagsasagot natin. Okay? So, ganun lang. Ang nomenclature ay same as alkanes. The only difference is that yung OH, no, may proper treatment for that. No? Pero for the other substituents, wala namang nagbago. Okay? Okay. So, sometimes, yung ating OH, pwedeng 1. So, pwedeng mas marami. Okay? So, if we have 2 or more OHs on your molecule, we call them glycols. No? And yung glycols, ito ay ginagamit sa food, no? Sa food industry, Pwede din yan gamitin sa automobile, no? Sa sasakyan. Okay? So, bigyan ko kayo example niyan sa sasakyan. Ginagamit yan sa car radiator. No? So, kunwari, kayo, may car kayo, or yung family niyo may car, buksan niyo yung hood. Tapos tignan niyo yung yung nasa harap. No? Yung mainit na bubuga sa harap, yun yung radiator ng car. Pag binuksan niyo yon, pwede niyo i-refill yun kapag ubos na yon. May proper liquid na nilalagay doon, and that liquid contains glycols. No? Glycols are molecules with more than one OH substituents. No? So yan. Ano ba yung purpose ng radiator? It helps to maintain the optimum temperature sa car nyo. No? Kasi di ba combustion of engine will give off heat. No? Kapag yung heat na yon hindi na tanggal sa engine, mag-overheat yung sasakyan, titirik yan. No? So purpose ng car radiator is to absorb the heat, no? And to release it somewhere else, no? Para hindi mainit yung mismong engine. So dumadalo yung tubig na yon, papunta sa engine, then tumutulong din yon sa inyong aircon sa sasakyan, no? Mga typical thermo stuff, no? May heat absorb, may heat release, yon. So gagana na yung car nyo. Okay? So yun. So hindi lang yan sa car ginagamit, sa food din, no? Alam ko yung mga biscuit may glycols. No? Matagal na rin kasi ako hindi kumakain ng biscuit kaya hindi ko nakikita yung ingredient. Pero alam ko may glycol dun sa likod. Tignan nyo na lang yung ingredients na. Okay? So, ang purpose ng glycol naman sa food is pampa-thick, no? Pampa-thickener siya ng mixture para mag-bind yung mga mag-bind yung mga powder in creating biscuits, no? So, yun. So, balik tayo sa nomenclature. So if you have two or more OHs, you call them glycols, no? So kapag may dalawa kang OH, instead of all, gagawin mo diol, no? So 'di ba nasa dulo yung suffix natin, all kapag isa lang yung OH. Pag yan ay dalawang OH, diol, no? So hindi siya all tas isa pang all, no? Baka ano na masabi mo nun. Kapag tatlong OH, hindi rin siya tatlong all. Napaka-redundant. So, we call it triol. Okay? So, yun. You have to use Greek prefixes kapag marami na yung OHs nyo. Just like your substituents, di ba? Kapag dalawa yung methyl, hindi naman natin sinasabi methyl-methyl. We call them dimethyl, di ba? Pag apat yung methyl nyo, edi tetramethyl. No? So, ganun din dito. Okay, so hindi mo ulit-ulitin yung all. Rather, you have to use Greek prefixes, no, to tell kung gaano karami yung carb, yung OH, no. Tapos ito pa, ang changes lang na mangyayari if you have a glycol, ang gagawin natin, instead of dropping off the E, 'di ba binubura natin yung E sa dulo kapag isang OH lang. Example, propanol, okay? Butanol. Diba tinatanggal natin yung E? Ngayon, kapag yan ay 2 or more OHs, you do not have to remove the E. Huwag mo na burahin yung E. Okay? So, ganun lang. Then you assign kung nasan yung OH, no? Kung asan yung dalawang OH. So, let's look at some examples here. So, we have here ethylene glycol. Ito yung ginagamit sa sasakyan. Okay? So, ethylene glycol. So, you have or 1,2-ethane diol. Okay, so paano nakuha yung IUPAC name na to? Okay, so we have a 2 carbon chain here. Ito yon. So ethane yon. We have 2 OHs. Okay, so hindi mo tatanggalin yung E. Kapag isa lang yung OH, magiging all yan. Pero since dalawa yung OH, yung E, hindi mo siya buburahin. To indicate na dalawa yung OH, edi diol. Okay? Tapos, asan yung OH? So, 1 and 2. So, 1,2-ethane diol. This is our ethane. Ito yung diol. Asan sila? 1,2. Okay? So, kunwari, paano po kapag tatlo yung OH dyan? Di triol. Pag apat, tetraol. Okay? Pag lima, pentol. So, ganun. So, ganun lang. So, ito. Some more examples here. So we have a 3 carbon chain with 2 OHs. Okay.
So if we assign locants to our OH, syempre doon tayo magbibigay ng number 1 sa may OH, no? Asan yung OH natin? Nasa 1 and 2. So 1, 2. This is 3 carbon chain, so you call it propane. And since dalawa yung OH natin, sabihin mo diol, no? And then lastly, we have here another propane molecule with 3 OHs. So this is 1, 2, 3 propane triol. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. For each carbon, may OH done. Okay. We also call 1, 2, 3 propane triol the glycerol or the glycerin molecule. Ito ginagamit din to sa food industry. Okay. Glycerin, glycerin, glycerol, glycerol. Both are acceptable naman. Parang depende na lang sa prof yan. No? May prof na glycerin, may prof na glycerol. Bahala na. Saan dun yung thought? Basta ito yun. 1, 2, 3 propane triol. Saan to ginagamit? Ginagamit to sa food industry, no? Precursor yan sa mga food products such as biscuits, no? And hindi lang biscuits, no? Hindi ko lang talaga alam yung iba. Pinagagamitan yan kasi biscuit lang kinakain ko dati. Okay. Tapos, saan pa to nakikita yung ating mga glycerol or glycerin? Ito ay nakikita sa ating mga lipids, no? 'Di ba? Alam natin sa biology, yung cell natin, the cell membrane contains the lipid bilayer. 'Di ba? May lipid bilayer doon. So, the lipid bilayer, ang pinaka structure talaga niya is mayroong kang glycerin sa harap, okay? So, may tatlo kang glycerin sa harap, and that is followed by long chain of molecules, no? Kaya kung makikita nyo sa picture, yung mga cells, 'di ba? Yung cell membrane niya, may nakapaganon sa baba, tapos may nakapaganon sa taas. So, lipid bilayer 'yan. Bakit bilayer? Yung isa pataas, yung isa pababa. So, yan. Magka-tandem 'yan. Yan yung tumutulong para hindi masira, para hindi lumabas lahat ng material sa cell natin. Okay? So, yan. Nakapaganito yan sa cell natin. Kunwari, yan. Siyempre, maraming ganyan na. Okay? So, yan. So, ang basic unit ng mga lipids ay yung glycerol or yung glycerin. Okay? So, yung H, papalitan mo lang ng carbon chain, no? To make ester bonds, no? Ito rin yung ginagamit sa paggawa ng sabon, no? Okay? So, yan. May mga glycerol ka, no? Or fatty acids, for example, mantika, lagyan mo yan ng sodium hydroxide, magiging sabon na yan. Okay? So, yan lang. Okay, so, bago tayo pumunta siguro ng final activity natin, tapusin na natin lahat ng kailangan i-discuss ngayon. So, okay na tayo sa nomenclature. Again, for the nomenclature, kung paano yung process ng alkanes, ganun din dito. The only difference is that kapag isa yung OH, yung E, papalitan mo ng all, then you have to indicate asaan ang all, asaan yung OH. Pag 2 or more OHs na yan, yung E, hindi mo nabubarahin. Instead of using all, you have to use diol, triol, tetrol, etc. To indicate the number of OHs attached to your carbon chain. Okay? Yun lang. Tapos kapag cyclic alcohol yan, hindi mo na kailangan sabihin na 1-cyclopentanol. Wag niyo na sabihin yung 1 kasi basta may OH, number 1 yon. Okay? Okay. Then, proceed na tayo sa last part banda. Tapos mamaya sagot na lang tayo ng worksheets. No? So, for the physical properties of alcohol, ano mapapansin natin sa alcohol? Meron siyang OH. No? So, that means the presence of the OH ng ating alcohol, ano yan? That will cause the molecule to be polar, no? Kasi ano mapapansin natin, if you obtain the electronegativity difference of C and O and the O and H bonds, ginawa yan sa laboratory chapter 3, no? Pag kinuha nyo yung electronegativity difference ng mga yan, malalaman nyo na polar yung bonds na yan. So, that makes the entire molecule polar, no? that makes the entire molecule polar. So that's why our alcohols will surely mix with other polar molecules such as water. Okay? Kaya kung mapapansin nyo sa ating isopropyl alcohol, panlinis ng mga kamay-kamay, wala kang nakikitang layers, no? Because the isopropyl alcohol here mixes, no, is miscible to water because of their polarities, no? Ano pa yung kaya gawin ng ng alcohol? Ito naman, discuss ko to, chapter 5, intermolecular forces. Sabi ko, basta may OH, may hydrogen bonding. Okay? So, other than being polar, ang ating alcohols, it can perform hydrogen bonds, no? So, as a result, ano mangyayari kapag may hydrogen bonding? Tataas yung mga physical properties niya. When I say yung mga physical properties, I'm pertaining to the boiling point, to the melting point, no? So, viscosity, no? Etc. So yun, kapag may mga OH, yun yung strongest intermolecular force of attraction. So yun, as long as may ganon, tataas yung mga physical properties niya. Okay? Yung mga boiling point, again, melting point, and viscosity. Itong glycerol, makapal yan, no? Thick liquid yan, no? So, bakit siya thick liquid? Kasi tatlo yung OH, tatlo yung hydrogen bond, no? So, maraming nagkakapitan na OHs, no? So, malapot sila as a result, no? So, yan. Yung sugars din natin, ang sugar natin ay alcohol, no? So, 6 yung OH doon. Kaya, kapag yung asukal nabasa, sticky siya, 'di ba? So yun. Kasi maraming OH, no. Okay. So tingnan natin itong table natin ito. Okay? So what we have here are some hydrocarbons and their alcohol versions, no. So itong ethane and ethanol, tingnan natin. So for ethane and ethanol, the only difference is that yung OH, no. May oxygen doon kay ethanol, kay ethane wala. Okay? Pero the rest, same lang. 2 carbon chain. Okay? Pero tignan nyo yung nangyari. Yung ethane, ang kanyang boiling point ay negative 89 degrees Celsius. However, in the presence of the OH bond for alcohol, ethanol, nangyari sa temperature, sa boiling point niya, naging 78. No? So, there is almost 100 degree Celsius difference, no? From negative 89 to 78, halos 100 degrees yan, yung difference na yan, no? Ay, hindi 100 degrees, 200 halos yan. Mga siguro 160, 170 degrees yung difference, no? So, ano yung in-imply nun? That implies that the hydrogen bonding is the strongest intermolecular force, no? So, as long as the molecules can keep holding on to each other, kaya nila magkapit-kapit due to hydrogen bonding, hindi agad sila nagbo-boil off, no? So, ganun. Pero kapag mahina yung kapit nila, for example, sa ethane, ano ba yung intermolecular force sa ethane? Yan ay London forces na lang. London dispersion forces na lang yan. Okay? Bakit? Kasi non-polar yung bonds na yan eh. Non-polar yung CH, non-polar yung CC. So, non-polar yung molecules. So, it can only do London dispersion forces, no? So, yun lang kaya niya. So, mahina yon. Kaya, mabilis sila mag-evaporate. Pero, again, in the presence of hydrogen bond, in the presence of hydrogen bond, mas lumalakas yung kapit ng molecule, therefore, hindi agad sila nag-evaporate, no? And as a result, the boiling point will be increased, no? Ayan. So, the trend continues as you grow your carbon chains here, no? So, for example, ethanol, 78, methanol, 65, ethanol, 78, propanol, 97, butanol, 117, okay? So, nagko-continue yung addition, yung pag-increase ng temperature. Bukod sa may hydrogen bond din kasi, nagpe-play ng role yung London dispersion forces, no? Sabi natin ng LDF, lahat ng molecules meron yan kasi lahat naman ng molecules may electrons. No? So nangyari, since constant lang yung OH natin, ang reason why there is an increase in the temperature is lumalaki kasi yung carbon chain natin. So nakatulong na yung LDF sa atin. So parang LDF plus H bond equals 65, LDF dito plus H bond equals 78, and so on and so forth. Now, the only problem here is ganito, no? If you continue growing your carbon chain here sa inyong alcohol, what happens sa kanyang solubility? So, mapapansin natin for methanol, ethanol, propanol, they are infinitely soluble. So, kahit sandamukal na ethanol, methanol, at propanol ilagay mo, hahalo talaga yan. Pero check nyo, kapag butanol, only 8 grams will be dissolved in 100 grams of water. Okay? So that's a tiny fraction. 8% lang yung madidissolve, no, sa tubig. So, ano may ibig sabihin nun? Sabi ng pusa, meow daw. Wait lang. Okay. So, ano ibig sabihin nun? Ibig sabihin nun, bakit siya nagiging insoluble na sa water kapag lumalaki na yung carbon chain natin is that humahaba na rin kasi yung ating non-polar side, no? Yung hydrophobic side natin. Ito yung hydrophobic end, yung OH, pero, hydrophilic end, sorry. Hydrophilic end yung OH, mahilig yan sa tubig kasi pwede silang mag-hydrogen bond. Pero, yung mga carbon chains natin dito, ayaw nila ng water. Okay? So the longer your your carbon chain here, the lower its solubility will be, no? Kaya tignan niyo yung lipids. Yung lipids may mga OH yan, pero hindi yan humahalo sa tubig. Kaya ang hirap niya hugasan, 'di ba? Alam mo yung struggle niyan, lalo na magpapasko. Kunwari nasa Tupperware, may spaghetti doon. Kaya corned beef. Corned beef pinakaayaw ko eh. Ang hirap-hirap niya linisin, kaya tinatapon ko na lang minsan yung Tupperware. Tapos bili ka na lang ng bago. Mas mabilis pa. No? Okay? So, ganun. Bakit siya mahirap tanggalin? Kasi nga, mahaba na yung carbon chain doon. No? So, hindi na siya masyadong magmi-mix with water. So, you really have to use detergents. No? Ako, ginagawa kong trick kapag naghuhugas ako ng Tupperware. Pag hindi gumagana yung detergent, gamitan nyo ng suka o kaya bleach. Bahala ka, mag-chemistry ka na doon. No? Wala naman sasabog doon. Mga ganun, matatanggal siya onte. Tapos, pag hindi talaga natanggal, wag na. Sayang effort na. Okay, so ganun lang. Ito reactions na yan eh. Okay, so yun lang. Ano yung alam natin sa alcohol? May OH siya. And because of that OH bond, the molecule is polar. Okay? Therefore, it can mix with water and it can perform hydrogen bonding with other molecules as well now. Okay? The only downside ng alcohol kapag lumalaki yung kanyang carbon chain is that nababawasan yung kanyang solubility. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, hindi na siya humahalo masyado sa tubig because of the growing hydrophobic carbon chain. Okay? So, yan. Pag lumalaki na yan, hindi na yan nahalo sa tubig. Okay? So, that means, ang limit natin ay hanggang 3 carbons lang. Hanggang hanggang propanol. 1 propanol, 2 propanol. Hanggang dun lang. Pero anything beyond that, hindi na ganun ka-soluble. Okay? So, yan. So, we're done sa PowerPoint. Okay? Kasi yung reaction sa lab na yun, alam ko tapos na rin ata kay sir na. Okay, so yan. So ngayon, magsagot na lang tayo ng dalawang items sa worksheet, no? So for the first item here, we write the IUPAC name and identify the type of alcohol. So identifying the type of alcohol is necessary sa reactions, no? Kasi depending on the type of alcohol, pwede iba yung ma-produce mo. Kapag primary yan, ano na produce? Aldehydes and carboxylic acids, no? Pag yan ay secondary, yan ay produce ng ketone. Pag tertiary, no reaction. So yan, yung mga reaction na yan, no? Sa ano na yan? Sa lab na yan. Okay? Okay. Pero ngayon, identify natin yung type ng alcohol. Paano pala ina-identify yung type ng alcohol? We have many ways naman. No? I have here a triol. Identify natin kung sino yung primary, secondary, tertiary. Parang 1 degree, 2 degree, 3 degree. No? So, yun yung primary, secondary, tertiary. Personally, may dalawang basis no to check kung ano yung type ng alcohol mo. So, ganito gagawin nyo. Yung OH, tignan nyo yung carbon na dinudugtungan niya. So, that means I'm pertaining to this carbon, and that carbon. Okay, so, tignan nyo yung dinudugtungan ng OH nyo. Okay? Tapos, yung carbon na naka-highlight na yan, tignan mo kung gaano karaming carbons yung nasa paligid niya. Okay? So, depending on the number of carbons around it, you can have primary, secondary, or tertiary alcohols. For example, ito. Ito yung OH. Ito yung carbon of interest ko. Ilan yung carbon na katabi niya? Isa lang. Ito. So, kapag isa lang yung carbon na katabi niya, yan ay primary. Ganun lang. So, itong carbon na yan, isa lang yung carbon na katabi niya. Itong nandito. So, primary yan. Itong OH na to. About this one. Itong OH na to, itong carbon na gusto natin tignan, ilang carbon yung katabi niya. Isa dito, isa doon. Okay? So, that is secondary. Kapag may dalawang carbon na katabi, secondary. Ito. Yung carbon na dinudugtungan ng OH na to. Okay? So, ilang carbon yung katabi niyan? Isa, dalawa, tatlo. So, may tatlo. So, that means this OH is tertiary. Okay? So, that's one way to check kung ano yung kanyang type. No? Kung siya ay primary, secondary, or tertiary, you just have to check kung gano'ng karami yung katabi niya na carbons. No? Yung dinudugtungan ng OH. No? Another way is to check yung hydrogen. Ito yung favorite ko gawin, yung hydrogen. Mas madali yung carbon, pero syempre, pag madali, medyo boring. Kaya gusto ko yung hydrogen, yung tinitignan. Okay. So, bakit, no? Ano alam natin about carbons? Carbon can perform or can do 4 bonds, di ba? Kasi tetravalent yan. 4 na bonds kaya niya. Okay? So, suppose 4 yung bonds na kaya nga talaga ni carbon. Okay? Yung ibang bonds dyan, gagamitin yan to create bond with other atoms such as OH or carbon there, no? Yung matitira doon ay para kay hydrogen. So for example, itong carbon na to, ito. So itong carbon na to, ilang bonds na yung meron dyan? Ilang existing bonds na yung meron dyan? Isa for the oxygen, isa for the other carbon. So ginagawa ko, 4 minus 2 is 2. So, kapag may dalawang hydrogen ako, primary yon. Okay? Pag may dalawang hydrogen dito sa carbon na yon, primary alcohol yon. Tayo dito. Ito yung carbon. Ilang bonds na meron dyan? Isa, dalawa, tatlo. So, di ba 4 yung bonds na kaya ng carbon? Minus 3. Minus 3. So, isa na lang yung matitira. So that means this carbon has only 1 hydrogen. So meaning, yan ay secondary. Kapag ito naman, ilang bonds na meron dyan? Isa, dalawa, tatlo, 4. So 4 minus 4, no hydrogen na ang matitira. Okay? So ito yung basis ko. Depende sa dami ng hydrogen, yung aking primary, secondary, tertiary. Kapag dalawa, meron yung carbon na yan, primary yan. Pag isa lang na hydrogen meron yan, secondary. Pag walang hydrogen na yan, tertiary. Okay? So, ganun. Okay, bahala. Pwede yung carbons na lang tignan nyo. Yun yung easier. Or kung gusto nyo ng mga weird na bagay, ito na lang, no? Kaya bahala. May reason kung bakit hydrogen yung gusto ko tignan, no? Kasi nagagamit ko rin siya sa amine. Depende sa dami ng H sa nitrogen, Pwede mo siya tawagin primary, secondary, or tertiary amine. Okay. So, okay. Yun yung reason but gusto ko ng hydrogen for this case. No? Ano siya? Parang hitting two birds with hydrogens. No? So, ganun. So, ganun. So, gagawin natin, magpapangalan tayo ng molecules, tapos alamin natin kung siya ay primary, secondary, tertiary. Tapos na tayo. No? Kita-kita na lang next sem after this class. Okay? Yun ay kung ako pa rin yung teacher niya. So, let's have letter A. Okay, so this is our molecule. Bilangin yung carbon chain. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, of course, I will start kung nasan yung OH banda. Okay? So, dun yung aking start ng number. So, this is a 5 carbon chain and my OH is attached to the first carbon. So, I will call this Gemerlin, 1-pentanol. So, yun yung pangalan niya, 1-pentanol. Letter B. Ako na lang magsagot para nakatingin lang kayo sa akin. Ganun. Okay. So, letter B. So, hanapin yung carbon chain. Ito yon 1, 2, 3. Tatlong carbons yan. May dalawa tayong OH, so yan ay diol. Okay? So, hindi natin tatanggalin yung E sa dulo ng propane. So, yan. So, that is a 3 carbon chain. But, since may dalawang OH dyan, magiging propane diol yan. Hindi mo tatanggalin yung E dito. Ngayon, since dalawa yung OH, asan yun? No? So, you have to indicate saan siya. Carbons 1 and 3. So, the name of this molecule is 1,3-propane diol. Kaya na tayo maglagay ng type ng alcohol. Pangalan muna. Ano? We have letter C. Letter C. Naantok ako. Sa letter C, ilang carbon chain meron tayo dyan? Sa 2, 3, 4. Again, always start numbering dun banda sa OH. Parang ingay ng Facebook. Okay? So, yan. So, diol yan. So, hindi natin tatanggalin yung E sa butane. Okay? So, magiging pangalan yan, 1,2-butane diol. So, yun yung pangalan niya. 1,2-butane diol. Letter D. Saan ako maglalagay ng number? Sa OH. No? So, doon ako sa OH parate. Okay? Okay. So, this is my parent chain and this is my substituent. Okay? So, ano pangalan yan? So, 4 carbon chain yan. Isa lang yung OH. So, you remove the E, gawing all. So, this is 1-butanol. Butanol to. Pero may substituent ka pa. Sa carbon 3, may methyl ka. So, that's 3-methyl 1-butanol. About letter E. May wedges ka. Solid wedge. And they are both facing you. No? May parehas na solid wedge dyan. So, nakatutok yan sa ating mukha. No? So, kapag same ang direction, so they are both pointing at the same direction, same side. So, ibig sabihin nun yan ay cis, no? So, cis yan. So, ngayon, paano to? Mag-assign ka ng number, syempre. Dalawa substituent mo. So, number 1 to, number 2 yun. Kaya bahala kung sino yung 1 and 2. No? Pero same lang yan. Okay? So, on the carbons 1 and 2, meron tayong OHs na dalawa, no? Okay, so since yan ay dalawang OH, diol yan. So, hindi natin buburahin yung E sa dulo ng cyclohexane. Okay, so, magiging pangalan yan ay cis 1,2 cyclohexane diol. Again, kapag diol, triol, hindi mo nabuburahin yung E. Okay na yan. Okay, so ganun lang. Oh, I need volunteers. Volunteer naman. Sino gusto sa FGHI? Okay, You can raise your hand so I can recognize you. Tapos yung sagot nyo, comment nyo na lang sa chat box natin. Sino po ang mga gustong mag-recite sa last recitation natin? Sige lang po. Okay. So please raise your hand na lang. Ito pala, FGH lang. FGHI. Wait na lang. Raise your hand na lang kung gusto nyo, ha? So, si Joanna. So, dito si Joanna. Mamaya nyo na i-send na. Type nyo muna yung name. Comment nyo na lang sa chat box. Okay. So, si Joanna sa F. Sino pa? Sino pa ang ating mga volunteers? Volunteers. Julian. Kirsty. Julie. Sa letter G si... Ay, I don't know. Isipin. Si Julian. Julian ba? Tama ba pronounce ko? Okay, so anyway, so yan. Ready nyo na lang yung answers nyo. Letter H. Sino gusto? Sino matapang na gusto magsagot niyan? Kaya pangalan yan. Ha? Yun. Okay. So we have Patricia for letter H. One. We have, yung last one, dali-dali na lang yan. Dali. Ako na lang sa last one. Ako na dito. For the three, si Joanna, Patricia, and Julian, comment nyo na lang yung sagot nyo dyan. Okay. Letter I, sagutan ko na siya. No? So letter I, obviously, cyclo, pentanol lang yan. So very easy lang. So you do not have to include kung ano yung position ng OH kasi isa lang naman yan. No? So yan. Let's have the answers for FGH. No? So comment nyo na lang sa chat box natin. Wait ko yung answers nyo. Let's have Joanna. 1-methyl cyclohexanol. Okay. Okay, so yung ano, teka lang. Yun, ayan. Okay. So for letter F, that's ano daw? 2,5-dimethyl cyclohexanol. So check natin kung 2,5-dimethyl cyclohexanol yan. So OH ang number 1. So siya yung highest priority. Then assign tayo ng number sa iba. So 2,6 dapat na. Pero okay na yung ano, nalapit na eh. So on the second and on the sixth carbon you have methyl groups, no? So that will be 2,6-dimethyl cyclohexanol. 2,6-dimethyl cyclohexanol kasi on the second and on the sixth carbon andun yung OHs. Okay, so thank you kay Joanna. Let's have letter G, Julian. Okay. So ito yung carbon number 1 kasi dun yung OH. On the carbon number 1, we have the methyl group. So that's 1-methyl cyclohexanol. Ayan, so thank you kay Julia. Okay, so Patricia, tert-butanol po. Okay, so tert-butanol yan. Deconstruct natin yung structure. Ano itsura niyan? So we have COH, no? Ay, ayaw na niya magklase talaga, no? Kakaloka. Anyway, so for letter H, that is also tert-butanol, no? So ito yung COH, COH, no? So yan yon. Tapos, itong carbon na to, may tatlong carbons pang nakadugtong sa kanya. Okay. So that's tert-butanol. Ano pa kaya isang name niya? Ano pa kaya isa pang name nito? Ayusin ko lang yung drawing. So ito yung OH, ito yung other two. Okay. Ano pa yung isang name nito? So pwede natin ito gawin yung parent chain. Okay, this is our parent chain. This is carbon 1, that is carbon 2. No? So on the first carbon, okay, so 1, 1, may dimethyl tayo. Ethanol. Okay. So, pwede ganyan yung pangalan natin. 1, 1 dimethyl ethanol or pwede ring na-minimize naman. So, yan. So, pwedeng 1, 1 dimethyl ethanol ang kanyang name. So, yan. So, ganun lang. So, 1, 1 dimethyl ethanol. Yan. So, that's the answer. Okay. Okay, so for the last part, ako na lang magagawa nito. So, I have here names. Ito-drawing ko na lang, no? So, yung mga binilugan ko, yun na lang sasagutan. Kasi yung mga letters A, B, and G, sila ay common name. Nabigay na naman natin yung kanina. Kaya, tignan na lang yung PowerPoint na. So, let's have letter C. Paano ito-drawing yan? So, you have 2 hexanol here. So, yan yung parent chain mo. So you draw a 6 carbon chain. On the second carbon, you have your OH. Okay. Then, yan yung parent chain mo, 2-hexanol. That is followed by 5-methyl. So, ito yung carbon 5, yun yung methyl. So, that is letter C. So, lipat ko lang sa taas. So, letter C, that's 5-methyl 2-hexanol. So, ayan yung itsura niya. Let's have letter D naman. So, 2-methyl 2-propyl 1,3-propane diol. Okay? Sige. So, 1,3-propane diol, ito yung ating parent molecule. So, let's draw that. Ito yung propane on the first and on the third carbon. Andun yung OHs natin. Ayusin ko lang yung drawing ulit. Okay. So, ito yung 1,3-propane diol. 1, 2, 3. May dalawang OH sa dulo ng propane molecule natin. So, yan yung 1,3-propane diol. Ngayon, yung 2-methyl and 2-propyl, ilagay natin sa second carbon. So, ito yung 2-methyl, ito yung propyl. So, yan yung itsura ng molecule natin. So, that's 2-methyl, 2-propyl, 1,3-propane diol. Let's have letter E, 1-octanol. So, basically, you have an octane with an OH at the very first carbon. Okay, so yan. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So yan. So yan yung 1-octanol. Letter F, we have 3,3-dimethyl cyclohexanol. So you draw a cyclohexanol. So that's your cyclohexanol. On the third carbon, may dalawa kang methyl. So yung itsura natin. Letter H, 1,4-butane diol. So we have 1,4-butane diol. So you draw butane. On the first and on the fourth carbon, may OHs ka. Ayusin ko lang uli yung drawing. One, two, three. H. So that's 1,4-butane diol. Letter I, we have 5-methyl 1-hexanol. So 6 carbons on the first carbon and then yung OH. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Dito ko lagay yung OH. On the fifth carbon, andun yung methyl. Okay. And lastly, I have letter J. Letter J, trans 1,4-cyclohexane diol. So you have a hexane diol, cyclohexane diol. So one of the OH is pointing towards you. The other must be pointing away from you. So yun yung trans 1,4-cyclohexane diol. And that ends our discussion for the entire semester, no? Okay, so yun na yun. Tapos na tayo. So, bale, ano na lang. Before this weekend, siguro makapag-open na ako ng quiz. Quiz for this topic, no? For alcohols nomenclature. Yan. So, ganun lang. Mag-open ako ng quiz before the weekend. Then, examination na lang. Again, yung mga hindi pa nakapag-take, mag-take na kayo ng quiz. No? 2 attempts naman. No? So, kung kaya nyo na i-perfect nyo na. No? Para hilang-hila na yung grades natin. Okay, so with that, bago pala ako mag-final exam, magpa-final exam, isa-send ko sa inyo lahat ng links papunta sa mga videos ng chapter discussion natin. No? So, para kung magre-review kayo, pwede nyo panoorin ulit, no? So, kasi yung iba hindi daw nila makita sa YouTube. Nasa ilalim lang kasi. Hindi ko na naayos yung playlist, no? Pero andun yung sa ilalim, yung mga video. Okay, so yan lang. So, this will be the last time na magkikita tayo. So, I'll see you na lang around. So, if not next sem, edi kita-kita na lang sa hallway ng SB, Science Building. Okay, so that ends our semester. So bye-bye and good luck, all the best, and ingat po. Bye-bye.